Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time talking episode 19 of Arrow called Canary Cry. And I have to say, this was a little bit of an unexpected episode with introducing a new character. So let's just kind of get right into it. Of course, the whole thing here with this episode is the fallout from last episode of Laurel's death. And I mean, they do handle it really, really well. I have to say, again, I was surprised that Laurel was the person that ended up in that grave. I was positive it was going to be Quentin. But doing this way, I mean, it does really show that the show is still willing to take some major chances and to do risky things, which is good, especially for a show in its fourth season. Especially if it can go and kill off somebody who's been there from the very beginning. It's easy in a show like this to kind of get a sense that the major characters are safe. I mean, yes, whatever happens, Oliver is obviously going to get out of it because he's the protagonist. But still, so let's just kind of get right into things. Um, it, well, let's kind of start with I suppose the yeah, let's start with Diggle, and of course Diggle is massively beating himself up over trusting his brother, and I have to agree with him. If he had listened to Oliver and been a little bit more suspicious of his brother, then Laurel would still be alive. But again, it's really hard to fault Diggle for wanting to trust his brother, and they did set that up pretty easily so that he would be fooled. And I do love that conversation that he and Oliver have, where Oliver says to him, like, "Look, I'm the world's leading expert on beating yourself up. You're not going to accomplish anything by it." And of course, Diggle goes off, ignores this good advice, goes off and does something incredibly stupid. Which, if you stop and think about it, this is a serious role reversal because normally it's Diggle who goes in there and tries to, reason with Oliver, says like, "Hey man, don't beat yourself up over this situation." Then Oliver ignores him and goes out and does something incredibly stupid. So it was very interesting to sort of see that role reversal. And of course, the stupid thing Diggle does is go out and attack Ruve Adams, who, despite being married to Damien Dark, is still the mayor. And this and what we have with our new Black Canary makes it so that she reinstates the Anti-Vigilante Task Force, which, ironically enough, was started by Quentin. So yeah, and I just love the look on Ruve Adams that like she's not scared at any of this. She feels like, oh, I am totally in control. I've got this handled, and just the deliciousness of when she realizes like, okay, now I can make life even harder for these people. So it's like, man, it's like wow, it's really hard not to hate both her and Damien Dark because they're just like such bastards. I mean, again, it kind of feels like the way you really hated season one Malcolm Merlin, especially when he was like tormenting Moira. I mean, ugh, it's just like, oh man, I cannot wait to see these guys go down. Let's see here. I also liked instead of the island this episode, we get flashbacks that obviously take place kind of between season one and season two, and we're dealing with the fallout from Tommy's death again. We haven't really seen Tommy, I guess, since last season in that flashback. But it's nice to know that he hasn't been forgotten. And here, Oliver, once again, having to put one of the people he's closest to in the world in the ground. I mean, his dad, his Tommy, his mom, now with Laurel. Oh yeah, Sarah. Sarah too. Can't forget about her. So, oh yeah, I guess Maseo too. He and Maseo were pretty tight. Although Maseo didn't get a funeral, but whatever. Um, And of course, this all sort of leads into the juxtapose of the present day with Oliver, you know, giving the eulogy at Laurel's funeral, and then using that opportunity to kind of undo the damage done by oh heck, I forgot her name, new Black Canary girl. Hold on one second here. I've got the information called up here. Evelyn, that's right. Evelyn. Evelyn was the new Black Canary's name. And revealing that Laurel was the Black Canary, which is a nice way of ensuring that Laurel's memory will not be smeared. It's also a great way of having all the criminals that might be pissed off at Black Canary decide to take a whack at Laurel's parents. I mean, Quentin's a cop whose career is already going down in flames because of him, admitting to having worked with Damien Dark. But, he's a guy who's in a position to look after himself. Diana, nice to see Alex Kingston again. Um, yeah, not so much. Oliver's probably gonna have to make a call to Joe or Barry and say like, hey, could you have Joe do us a favor and maybe kind of have some guys keep an eye on Diana for a little while. Never mind the fact that while it's cool that they put Laurel was Black the Canary's on her grave, they've also made her grave like the most inviting target for vandals in the entire city. So that cemetery has good security guards. And just speaking of security guards, there's something we're going to have to say about them a little bit later on. But anyway, after taking quite a shellacking this episode, it was nice to see that Team Arrow at least got that little bit of a win. But going back to Quentin this episode, it was kind of an inevitable scene with him wanting to use the Lazarus Pit to resurrect Laurel. Was surprised to see Katrina Law pop up on this episode, and I like how she realizes like when she has to tell Quentin like, yeah, I kind of destroyed the Lazarus Pit. You have to think that mostly she did that just to sort of dick with Malcolm Merlyn, and here this has come back to bite her in the ass. Now, again, it was a little bit more to it than that. After all, seeing the woman she was in love with resurrected as sort of without her soul, also kind of a hint that yeah, maybe the Lazarus Pit is one of those things the world is better off without. Still, a nice little jab in the heart for Nissa to suffer once again. And I did like that she said like, "Hey, I did really consider Laurel my friend." And it looks like from the end of this episode, despite what he said, like I'll find some other way, that Quentin has come to accept that. I mean, Diane is rambling on about like, no, no, she'll be back, and Quentin has to say, no, no, she won't. Because I was worried that Quentin was going to go out there and do something really stupid, like try and cut another deal with Damien Dark. Um, again, he really has nothing to bargain with, so. Well, I guess yeah, he does have his testimony, but yeah, somehow I don't think Damien Dark would quite go for that. He's escaped from prison, so what does he care, right? So yeah, I don't think that's going to be happening. Let's see here. What else do we have to talk about? Um, oh yeah, the whole new Black Canary person. Now, Evelyn is a character from the comics. There, she's a character called Starling. Interesting. But she's not somebody that I've ever read anything. I've never read anything with her in it, so I have no real opinion about that character one way or the other. Um, just having someone immediately hop on and take up the Battle of Black Canary again. But I do like the way they sort of use that for drama well in this episode. Um, Now there are some things here, like how in the world did if she was like a prisoner of Hive or like one of their volunteer test subjects, how does she even know that Ruve exists? Okay, she was kind of part of Hive in a way. Her parents were basically true believers of whatever cultish nonsense Hive is selling, I suppose. Um, so I suppose that she might have learned about Ruve by accident just by being in vicinity to Hive, although having a wife and kid does seem like something that Damien Dark would keep pretty close to the vest. There's also the whole thing of how in the world did she get the Canary Cry to work? I mean, it's even specifically said Cisco made it so that only Laurel's vocal cords would work. And the question is raised and then never answered. And that's kind of a bullshit writing technique. I hate when they do that. I mean, yes, it's nice that they at least, hey, this doesn't make sense, but then they never explain why it is. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Anyway, So Evelyn goes and she is heading out there to try and take down Ruve Adams, which is fine. Um, exactly what she was hoping to accomplish by attacking her campaign manager, since Ruve has, as if I understand it, she's already won. She is officially mayor of Star City. So what good does attacking her campaign manager do? And there's the whole thing of, she's part of Hive. You don't know whether, I mean, it would be interesting if Alex turned out to be part of Hive, but I mean, again, what exactly is she accomplishing by attacking this guy? I don't know. I'm just questioning whether or not. I mean, does Evelyn know for sure he's a part of Hive? If so, then it makes sense. If she doesn't, then again, why? How does she know that she's not attacking an innocent person? But then again, that probably doesn't matter to Evelyn because right before she goes into the ballroom to kill Ruve, she guns down two security guards. Now, before, when she's seen her attack people, she's only used the Canary Cry, and she's just kind of roughed them up a little bit. I mean, we saw her specifically do that to some police officers. With these security guards, she just whips out the gun and shoots them. And then the episode kind of ends on this hopeful note that, yeah, she's kind of out there, and we'll see her again, and she's seems to be thinking straight, so that she might she's on her way to being somebody who's worthy of the whole being Black Canary thing. Um, and she may have committed murder against two guys who were just doing their jobs, as far as we know. I mean, even if they were Hive, she still totally murdered two people. Which, I mean, okay, granted, Oliver has himself murdered about 50 people at least, but still, kind of feels funny that nobody acknowledges this. But in any case, I think that's everything that I had to say about this episode. Nice way to sort of wrap up Laurel's legacy and kind of make things a little bit more optimistic for the future. Obviously, Evelyn is kind of something that's being saved for season 5. Sarah is doubtlessly going to have something to say about this whole situation, and it would certainly be interesting to see how Thea reacts to this. I mean, angry young female vigilante. Yeah, Thea's been there. So, with that said, I'm going to call it here. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. And also, please join me on Tumblr at Jedi Reviewer. Till next time, take care and have a good one.